Good morning, boys and girls. Today we are going to read the story Tops and Bottoms. So, we are going to ask ourselves a couple questions during this story that we will pay attention to, okay? So, as we read, you need to ask yourself these questions and find the answers to them. Okay, so our first question is, who is the story about? And then our second question is, what is the problem? Because every good story has a problem. It's often a good idea to look and see if that problem is solved in the story. That makes the story much more exciting. Okay, so first question, who are the characters in the story? And what is the problem? Okay, so let's read. One summer day, a greedy giant stopped to watch a farmer tending his crops. "What will you give me so that I don't trample your crops?" asked the giant. The farmer replied, "When this field is ready to be harvested, you may have everything in it that is above ground." "Good! I will get all the tops," grinned the greedy giant, as he thought of the beans, peas, and squash that he was sure would soon be flourishing in the field. "Don't you worry, I'll be back to keep my side of the bargain." So, what was the problem at the beginning of the story? The greedy giant was trampling the poor farmer's crops. That's correct. Now, also, we can answer one of our other questions. Who are the characters in the story? The farmer and the giant. So, first, the farmer, his problem was that the giant was trampling his crops. And the giant asked, "What will you give me if I stop trampling your crops?" The farmer said, "I'll give you everything on the top." And so the giant agreed to that. He was excited about the peas, the squash, everything that would grow up on top. Okay, let's read on to see what else happens in this story. When the farmer had picked his crops, the giant returned. When the farmer handed him a bushel filled with wilted leaves, the giant shouted, "No, I want those!" He pointed to a mound of potatoes. Now, where do potatoes grow? They grow underground. So they don't grow on top, they grow underground. Their solution was to have the giant take everything on top. Do potatoes grow on top of the ground? Nope, they grow under the ground. And so everything that was left for the giant were just leaves. "You can't have them," said the farmer. "They are the bottoms. I get to keep the bottoms, and you get the tops. That was our bargain." The giant couldn't argue with that. After all, he'd agreed to the bargain. Instead, he said, "I want the bottom of the crop, the next crop you harvest." The following day, the giant stopped by to collect his share of the next crop. When the farmer handed him a tangled mass of roots, the giant yelled, "I want those!" He pointed to a basket of juicy red tomatoes. "No, those are mine. Remember, this time I get the tops and you get the bottoms," replied the clever farmer. How did he trick him this time? Well, now the giant wanted everything on the bottom, and he said the farmer could have everything on the top. But this time he grew tomatoes, And where do tomatoes grow? They grow above ground. And so all that the giant gets are the roots. Well, you won't fool me again. Next time I'm taking the tops and the bottoms, roared the giant, determined not to get outsmarted. Imagine the giant's frustration when the farmer kept the corn on the cob and handed him the corn silk and the roots from his corn plants. You wanted the tops and bottoms, said the farmer, so I get the middles. I'll make no more bargains with you, yelled the giant. He stomped off, leaving the farmer in peace forever after. So, at the end of the story, near the end of the story, the giant said that he wouldn't be outsmarted again, and so he chose to have the bottoms and the tops of his crops. Now, what did the farmer grow? Corn, that's correct. And so corn grows on a tall stalk, and the corn itself kind of grows in the middle, and it has some tall hairs standing up. So the giant got the tall hairs on the top, and he got everything on the bottom. And finally, the giant gave up, and he said, I won't make any more bargains with you. And he left. So, remember the problem at the beginning of the story? The farmer couldn't get the giant to stop trampling his crops. But now, at the end of the story, the giant got so frustrated that he left him altogether. And so, was the farmer's problem solved? It was. So, at the end of the story, the farmer didn't have that problem anymore. And so that was how that story ended. All right. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you later.